The first rainbow quartz we see is a fusion of pearl and rose, but we later find out rose quartz is actually pink diamond. So now the question becomes, was that fusion phenotypically a rose quartz and pearl, or a diamond and pearl? And while we're at it, what happened with cotton candy garnet? She looked like patchwork at first, then over time, she became this more cohesive, put-together version of herself. There are a lot of questions when it comes to fusion appearances, so let's get into it. Gems are beings that project solid bodies of light from a central gem core. These light waves superimpose over one another to form a new wave, the fusion. Think of it like chemistry. Sodium is its own element, chlorine is its own element, but when they react, you get sodium chloride, table salt, something with completely different properties from what made it. Fusions combine the physical traits of their component gems into this phenotypic amalgam. Similar to how people see traces of your mom and dad in you, fusion follows something like genetic selection. Certain traits are dominant, always peeking through no matter what. Pearl's pointed nose is a perfect example. It shows up in literally every fusion she's part of, so it's a gamble. The lips, the hair, the body type. Sometimes one trait dominates, sometimes you get a blend. Look at Sardonyx's hair. It's not quite Pearl's and it's not quite Garnet's. It's a combination. Actually, most fusion hair works this way, and this applies to abilities too. Sardonyx and Alexandrite both have those doll-like joints where they can rotate 360 degrees. That comes from Pearl. We see her do it in the Change Your Mind episode. But fusions can also manifest abilities of their own, like how Rainbow can bring inanimate objects to life, which plays on Steven's ability to make organic things sentient. Fusion color schemes aren't determined by mixing the component gems' colors together. The creators first determine what real-world gem best represents the fusion, then build the color scheme from that. I take opal for instance. If you literally mixed pearl and amethyst's skin tones, you wouldn't get opal's periwinkle tinge. So why opal? Both amethyst and opal are silica-based minerals, while pearl is the organic outlier. Opal is basically amethyst that borrowed pearl's shimmer. It has the chemical kinship with amethyst, but the optical magic of pearl. Real opals display both purple flashes and pearly white body tones. Pearl forms in water inside mollusks, and opal contains up to 20% water in its structure. Picture it as a Venn diagram. The creators find the real-world gem that best represents the intersection of the component gems, then build from there. Malachite follows the same logic. Real malachite is a copper carbonate mineral, known for being toxic. When submerged in water, it leaches copper over time. It has those beautiful swirling patterns that look like flowing streams, and it fractures easily. All of this mirrors the toxic, unstable relationship between jasper and lapis, and the water imagery of their fusion being trapped in an ocean within itself. Normally same gem fusions like the ruby fusions or topaz fusions just create a larger version with a consistent color scheme. These gems are mass-produced with identical forms and colors, so the math is simple. But pearl throws a wrench in this. Our pearl and pink pearl are both pearls, but they have completely different color palettes because they were customized for different diamonds. When they fuse into royal pearl, you get this unique pale pink and coral hair design that takes traits from both palettes. The designers used what I'd call the rule of cool aesthetics over strict rules to create something visually striking that represents the relationship and shared trauma between these two. In the storyboards by Etienne Guignard, Mega Pearl's design first resembled Usagi from Sailor Moon, then evolved into a composite of the two leads from Revolutionary Girl Utena, Anthe's physical shape with Utena's uniform. Her music track is even called Prince Pearl, referencing how Utena sought to emulate a prince. A fusion's appearance isn't static. The more in sync the component gems are, the more cohesive and humanoid the fusion looks. This is exactly what happened with Garnet. Cotton Candy Garnet looked like patchwork because Ruby and Sapphire had just met. As their relationship strengthened over thousands of years, that bond manifested in Garnet's appearance. She ended up looking so put together that in the show's early days, not many people caught on to the fact that she was a fusion. Gems who catch a vibe look closer to human. Toxic or unstable relationships manifest as monstrous fusions. Other factors play in too. More component gems means more deviation from cohesion, and fusions of the same gem type are naturally more cohesive than mixed fusions. Fusion also depends on the current physical state of the gems involved. When a gem poofs and reforms with a different outfit, even slightly, it affects any fusion they're part of. Compare Garnet in Season 1 to the final form we see her in. Compare early Sugilite to later appearances. The wardrobe changes, even the skin tones shift. So back to the question that was raised at the beginning of the video. Is rainbow quartz phenotypically a pearl and diamond fusion or pearl and quartz? Even though rose was pink diamond, rainbow quartz is phenotypically pearl and rose quartz. Look at her. The cutout around her navel gem mirrors rose quartz's gem cutout. Her hair resembles roses but ends in spiky points reminiscent of pearls. The upper part of her top comes from Rose's dress. Remember in Steven Universe Future when the gems played Steven tag and shapeshifted into Steven? The fusions they formed were Steven versions of themselves because they fused while in Steven's form. So hypothetically, if amethyst shapeshifted into jasper and fused with lapis, would they form malachite? Technically yes, but amethyst couldn't hold that form. We see her struggle with it. The malachite would be significantly weaker and probably wouldn't last. Pink diamond held her rose form for millennia because she was compacting herself into a smaller form rather than stretching out. And because, let's be real, you can't compare a diamond's energy levels to a defective amethyst. Even Steven's diamond level shapeshifting was powerful enough to give him sentient cat fingers and turn him into a kaiju. Rebecca Sugar has implied that how the individuals see each other affects how the fusion physically manifests.
It's very early on in the show we had the idea for Stag. Stephen and Greg's relationship is so important. We wanted to find an opportunity to manifest that as a character. We had established that Stephen thinks of his dad as this incredibly muscular rock god. Greg thinks of his son as this otherworldly, super capable super being who's going to have the power to change the world with all of his love and kindness. So it was really fun working on early designs for Steg because we wanted everything that they see in each other to combine and amplify with all of the support and love they have for each other into someone so powerful, an idol so magnetic that he can literally fly and he can make you fly.
Stephen sees Garnet as this super protective parental figure. Garnet sees Stephen as her little ray of sunshine who lights the way when hope seems lost. Stephen brings out Garnet's playful side, and combined with his optimism and their mutual love, you get Sunstone, this upbeat, fun-loving 90s mascot character. Stephen sees Pearl as someone who takes care of things, who's responsible and practical. Pearl admires Stephen's emotional intelligence and empathetic nature. Combine those and Rainbow comes off like Mary Poppins, a magical nanny who knows exactly how to handle kids. Sardonyx appears as a show host because Pearl sees Garnet as confident and sure of herself, while Garnet sees Pearl as this witty intellectual with extensive knowledge on several topics. Mix those traits and you get someone charismatic and confident. Perfect host material. I'll preface this by saying Steven Universe doesn't do the best job with their sizing chart. Character scales are barely consistent. But what determines fusion size in itself? Does component size matter? I doubt it. Compare malachite to alexandrite. Alexandrite is 4 gems. Malachite is 2, yet they're roughly the same size. You'd think maybe it's because alexandrite's components are smaller, while malachite has super soldier jasper in the mix. But then look at sunstone, way smaller than typical 3-gem fusions like sugilite. Or compare garnet, a 2-gem fusion of small gems, to bluebird, also a 2-gem fusion of small gems. Totally different sizes. Fusion size isn't just additive. How gems see themselves probably plays a role. Maybe Amethyst's vision of Garnet as this tall, ass-kicking baddie affects how sugilite manifests. Or it could just be the rule of cool again, which prioritizes making a moment awesome over strict adherence to the rules or realism. But remember, size doesn't equal strength. Sunstone tanked a full-powered stomp from Voltron White Diamond, so I guess you could say size doesn't matter. What happens if 2 gems have the exact same gem placement? How does the fusion manifest this? One just moves down and they arrange in a straight line like we see with fluorite. Gemstone colors change to fit the fusion's palette. For example, compare Amethyst's gem in its base state to when she's part of opal. What else do you think contributes to fusion appearances that I might have missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Join the Discord, follow me on my other socials, and keep an open mind for shows beyond Steven Universe. Actually, comment below what other shows or topics you want me to cover. As usual, see you in the next one.